Bitter criticism, regular show with the beaches, with the boys in the beaches, the boys in the beaches, in the beach, at the beach. How you dare? How you dare? Are you there, Greta Thunberg? Are you there drinking beers with birds, with bears and birds? How you dare there? How are you there? How you dare? How you dare there? You cannot see this, but there's a lot of seagulls. There's a lot of seagulls in the ocean, you know, at the sea. This is the Pacific Ocean. What amount of water! Can you believe that amount of water? Well, there's a lot of seagulls. You know, before I came to Chile, I thought that seagulls are very respectful birds, you know, very respectful and very beautiful. But now I know seagulls are just like doves. They are just like pigeons. They are just like rats, you know. Those seagulls over there, they eat anything. They eat garbage, you know. They are just like rats. That's the truth about the seagulls. They are white. They are beautiful white colors. Yes, that's true. I'm not racist. But you have to notice those seagulls' lifestyle. Always eating garbage. What a shame. What a shame. What a shame of seagulls. So here we go with the usual Russia Today. Russia Today. Yes, Russia yesterday, tomorrow, and and tomorrow and today, and that's it. So Russia Today, can Israel survive its new war in the West Bank? I'm going to read this despite it's not Russian invasion, the Russian conflict, despite it's not the Russian. Is a Canadian. Eva Bartlett is a Canadian independent journalist. So I usually read the Israel conflict in Al Jazeera, but this time is a great headline. September 8th. You know, it's a provocation. It's a speculation. My opinion, there's no problem for Israel. I only see the Palestinian dead. Nobody's doing nothing. Palestinians are just vanishing. Hey, this looks like weed. But it's not. Looks like I found some weed here. Not mine. I don't know what the hell is this. Anyway, so I'm going to read this one. September 8th, 2024, Home World News. Can Israel survive its new war in the West Bank? The IDF has launched a new operation against Palestinians, but as civilian suffering mounts, Hamas appears undeterred. There was Eva Bartlett, a Canadian independent journalist. She has spent years on the ground covering conflict zones in the Middle East, especially in Syria and Palestine, where she lived for nearly 4 years. We have a photograph. An explosion is seen during an Israeli military operation in the West Bank city of Jenin, Thursday, September 5, 2024. Having failed to eradicate Hamas in Gaza, Israel on August 28 began a war on the West Bank, dubbed Operation Summer Camps. The Israeli assault on West Bank areas is the largest since 2022, with thousands of Israeli soldiers supported by helicopters and drones invading northern West Bank cities, particularly targeting the refugee camps of Jenin, Tubas, and Tulkarem. The same day, the non-profit Euromed Human Rights Monitor reported, quote, immediately after entering the West Bank, the Israeli army began besieging hospitals, ambulances, and emergency centers, replicating its horrifying and systemic policy of breaching and taking control of health institutions that it has employed in the Gaza Strip. Simultaneously with the storming of these areas, raid and arrest campaigns were carried out in most cities in the West Bank, amid gunfire and injured many Palestinians. Since last October, 660 Palestinians in the West Bank have been killed as a result of the Israeli military systematic large-scale attacks. Journalist Marian Barghouti on August 31 wrote, quote, I was in Jenin and I cannot explain how ruthless the Israeli military is being. The city is like a ghost town and the refugee camp is a collective torture chamber. It's a collective torture chamber, yeah. That's what everybody knows. Mass arrests, including minors blowing up homes of civilians, denying entry of food, water, medics. The children that managed to escape are traumatized. They are nothing but tears and shock. Everyone is unable to fully recognize this unprecedented violence and at such an intensity. Jenin is another Gaza in terms of violence being inflicted. According to the UN's OCHA, between 27 August and September 2, Israeli forces killed 30 Palestinians in the West Bank, including 7 children, the highest weekly death toll since November 2023. By September 6, the number had increased to 39 Palestinians killed. So yeah, I was reading Al Jazeera latest Israeli war on Gaza live updates, but I guess I didn't read that hour. But yesterday, it's just like saying that 39 killed yesterday, Palestinians. 39 Palestinians killed yesterday, including 8 children, approximately 145 injured. So what's the point when something is going to happen to Israel? Maybe never, you know? Maybe never. Those murder OCHA notes include 82-year-old Palestinian man shot and killed while attempting to buy bread. Israeli forces also reportedly shot and killed 2 Palestinian boys, aged 13 and 16. Quote, being chased by Israeli forces while attempting to distribute bread to besieged families near the western neighborhood of Jenin city. Israeli soldiers also abducted and tortured to death a 50-year-old civilian. Further, OCHA reports that between October 7, 2023 and September 2 this year, quote, 652 Palestinians were killed in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. The brutality is not only from the Israeli military, but also the illegal Jewish colonists who are given carte blanche to attack and kill Palestinians as they've done for decades. And as I've written about before, according to OCHA, in the same time frame, there were about 1,300 attacks by Israeli settlers against Palestinians, of which over 120 led to Palestinian fatalities and injuries. End of quote. On top of all of this, Israeli destruction and carnage are the continued abductions of Palestinian civilians, young and elderly. It has been widely reported from inside Israel through leaked footage and in countless testimonies from Palestinian hostages that Israel routinely tortures Palestinians via beatings, electric shocks to genitals, stress positions, psychological torture, near starvation, and also rape to the point of causing serious internal damage. Palestine Chronicle reported on September 3rd, citing the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, that, quote, at least 53 Palestinian prisoners died in Israeli custody between October 7, 2023 and July 31, 2024. The article refers to a letter this June from Ronen Bar, a head of the Israeli security agency Shin Bet, to Benjamin Netanyahu this June, putting the number of detainees at 21,000. This is a shocking 11,000 higher than was known in April, when I last wrote about the nearly 10,000 Palestinian hostages in Israeli prisons. Israel wants West Bank wiped off the map. There was a subtitle. Just 1 second, will you? I have a great photo here. Mursi just moved. Mursi! I guess it was even better. Anyway, Israel wants West Bank wiped off the map. On the morning Israel started its current mini Gaza bombardment and displacement campaign, Foreign Minister Israel Katz boasted of the destruction and killing to come, saying, "We must deal with the threat," saying, quote, "We must deal with the threat just as we deal with terrorist infrastructure in Gaza, including the temporary evacuation of Palestinian residents and whatever steps are required. This is a war for everything and we must win it." End of quote. Then there was Prime Minister Netanyahu during a press conference pointing to this map with the West Bank erased. In this report, human rights organization Euromed Cities, Israeli newspaper Idiot Aronot, writing that, quote, "An organizing evacuation of the Palestinian civilian population will be carried out according to the combat centers," end of quote. The group notes, quote, "This is a clear indication of Israel's intention to commit genocide against Palestinians in the West Bank, just as it has done against those in the Gaza Strip," end of quote. UN Special Reporter Francesca Albanese on September 2nd stated, quote, "There is mounting evidence that no Palestinian is safe under Israel's unfettered control. The long-standing impunity granted to Israel is enabling the de-Palestinization of the occupied territory, leaving Palestinians at the mercy of forces pursuit their elimination as a national group," end of quote. However, Palestinian resistance groups are putting up a fight. On X, accounts closely following events claim as of September 4th, the Jenin Brigade, quote, "conducted over 15 IED operations, killing and wounding IOF Israeli occupation forces, significantly damaging their vehicles, while the Tulkan Brigade conducted 6 IED operations, killed and wounding IOF. Al-Mayadeen some days later reported similar events, noting, quote, Palestinian resistance confronts IOF in Jenin. Tulkarm for 8 days the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades. Jenin confirmed that its resistance fighters engaged in confrontation with Israeli forces in the Al-Hadaf neighborhood using machine guns and IEDs. End of quote. It's worth remembering the words of retired Israeli General Yitzhak Brick just a couple of weeks ago when he stated, quote, Israel is sinking deeper into the Gazan mud, losing more and more soldiers as they get killed or wounded. Tommy, shh. Tommy. As they get killed or wounded without any chance or achieving the war's main goal, bringing down Hamas. The country really is galloping towards the edge of an abyss. If the war of attrition against Hamas and Hezbollah continues, Israel will collapse within no more than a year. I will use the same comment as always. A year is no. You know what happened in Israel? Israel is not a normal state as anybody can imagine, like Ecuador, like Chile. There's no normality. Countries are not countries. There's just one imperialism, only one imperialism, and the G7. There's the G7, and that's imperialism. The G7 controls the world, and that's just one control. It's only one control. There's the rich people from the G7, controlling the world. Period. And well, Israel is like I don't remember now, but it's like this cargo for casas. Understand? I don't remember how to the state of ship that works as a platform. Well, Israel is not a country. Understand? And what else? And the rest of the world, the global south is just the global south, There's a lot of traders. It's just how human nature works, You have this G7 controlling the world, and the rest of the world betrayal their own people, There's a lot of traders in the whole history. Maybe humans are traders, Anyway. And so, now, Israel will remain forever. Israel will remain there. Since the G7 controls the world, understand? Israel will only disappear if and only if the G7 disappears or get weakened. And I guess this is just happening. I guess China already won. The only question is, will China be able to develop Africa? Africa will be the greatest turning point, because South America is kind of developed. We have a lot of philosophical problems here. People are super traders, as I was explaining. But this is a developed country. This is a developed territory, And just like that, South America can turn into revolutionary times, That always happened, South America is very unstable, and Africa can be just as unstable as South America. Anyway, and that's the best thing China can do in order to survive, developing Africa. After over 10 months of Israel killing and starving the Palestinians of Gaza, it's safe to say that if the general's prediction comes true, predictions come true, that will be some slight justice for Palestinian suffering both since October 7 and before. Euromed, in its above-mentioned report, calls on all nations to, quote, impose strong sanctions on Israel and halt all forms of military, political, and financial assistance. This includes immediately cutting off all arms transferred to Israel, including export permits, and military aid. Otherwise, these nations will be complicit in and partners in the Israeli crimes committed in the Gaza Strip, including the crime of genocide. Yes, given that the so-called international community has colossally failed Palestinians in allowing Israel to slaughter, starve, and torture them, halting arms supplies to Israel and imposing sanctions in the least countries could do. Imposing sanctions is the least countries could do. The statements, views, and opinions expressed in this column are solely those of the author and do not necessarily represent those of Russia Today. I will just keep my opinion. Sanctions. Israel is not a normal country. It's not a country, actually. It's just a territory dominated by the G7. It's like just a satellite. It's just like Chile. Israel, Chile, and Philippines. The most important satellites from the G7. And right here, let me tell you, people here in Chile, they love the G7, They just love the G7, And that's it. They believe the world, they love this G7 world, They love this G7 world. I have another. It's funny because I'm reading. This will be this is going to be a changing role day. I'm reading Chinese and Palestinian news in Russia Today. I'm not sure if there's Palestinian newspapers. I always choose Al Jazeera, but I'm not the huge fan of Al Jazeera. There's another. I will try to find another newspaper from the Middle East. Anyway, September 8th, Home World News. China bans for foreigners from adopting its children. So, Chinese news from Russia Today. Only blood relatives are exempt from the new rules. Yeah, I guess it's a nationalistic move. China bans foreigners from adopting its children. That's a nice one, I guess. China has officially shut down its international adoption program. The Foreign Ministry has announced it. The move comes at a time when hundreds of American families have pending applications to adopt Chinese children, according to Associated Press, AP. Quote, apart from the adoption from one's collateral relatives by blood of the same generation, China will not send children abroad for adoption. This is also in line with the spirit of relevant international governance. Quote, end of quote. Mao Ning, a spokesman for the ministry, said in a first official announcement of the rule change. AP reported that in a phone call with American diplomats in China, government officials said they will not continue, quote, they will not continue to process cases in any stage other than special cases covered by an exception clause. Over the last 3 decades, the US has been the most common destination for overseas adoptions of Chinese children. Quote, we understand there are hundreds of families will still pending completion of their adoption. and we sympathize with their situation, the State Department said. Back in 2007, Beijing toughened the vetting process for foreign adopters with an emphasis of family lifestyle and age, and only accepting applications from heterosexual married couples. I guess it's nice. I'm sorry about the wokeist world, but to me, it makes zero meaning. If a gay couple adopts a young boy, if let's say two gay men adopting a young boy, this is for me, this have zero meaning, you know. I cannot believe that they will be fine for the boy, you know. Beijing temporarily suspended foreign adoptions during the coronavirus pandemic, but later resumed for them couples who had travel authorizations prior to 2020. China bans follows similar steps from other countries. In January, Denmark's only overseas adoption agency ceased operations after concerns were raised over irregularities and fabricated documents. In June, Norway tightened controls over foreign adoptions and is now conducting an investigation into whether past adoptions were legal and ethical. I guess the best country for adoption and childhood, it is Norway, you know. There is a polemic about the Barn something, the childcare institution of the country. There's polemics because back in the global south, back in Latin countries, children are so mistreated, you know. People are so aggressive with their children. I think that's not normal. I guess I put my bets on Norway. I guess they do just better, you know. So citizens of several countries are already prohibited from adopting Russian children. The 2013 Dima Yakovled law banned adoptions by Americans after a Russian orphan adopted by a Virginia couple was left in a car for 9 hours and died of heat stroke. Yeah, 9 hours. In August 2022, a proposal was put to the State Duma to expand the adoption ban to all unfriendly countries, sending Russian children there. Sending Russian children there will be a blow to the future of the nation. They are, since the West destroys traditional values. President Vladimir Putin objected, however, saying that the way it was drafted, the bill will infringe. Tommy! Venga! Aquí, venga! Tommy! They are, since the West destroyed, I will read again. Sending Russian children there will be a blow to the future of the nation. They are, since the West destroyed traditional values. President Vladimir Putin objected, however, saying that the way it was drafted, the bill will infringe the rights of Ukrainians living on Russian territory. Russia banned same-sex couples from adopting children in 2013. The Russian Orthodox Church has since proposed banning international adoptions by couples from countries that allow quote, gender reassignment procedures, an idea that was then backed by lawmakers. Well, personally, I don't care, I don't mind, but I know there's some gay people around there and they are just gay, you know. They don't care about Tommy! Tommy! Ven aquí. Ven. Tommy. Tommy. No, I care too much about Tommy, but Tommy, there's no problem actually. The problem with Tommy are dogs, you know, other dogs. And well, I will have to defend Tommy. Ay, Luna, calma, calma, calma. This was Luna, that was Luna. So, a break. we have a break under 30 minutes. A break, and well, and that's it. So enough from Russia Today. The ban platform. Ooh, censor. The censor platform, Russia Today, so sexy. But this article, it was not so organized. So yeah, this was all about. So my opinion, Russia is trying to make friends again, and that's right. That's nice. Tommy, venga, ven aquí. The other dogs thinks I like Tommy, you know. The other dogs, they think I prefer Tommy. Tommy, calma. Well, the other dogs want to go make an excursion. You're free dogs. So I always criticize too much children. And well, this is the last one. I will try to run fast. Yeah, I definitely will read this. September 5, Home World News. Chinese spy agency warns youth about falling for good looks. Attractive partners could be honey traps aiming to lure youngsters into spying. The Ministry of State Security. Hey, calma. Ay. Tommy, calma. No sé nada, No sé nada. And just like that, Tommy lost his freedom again. No. Nothing happens. Just Mursi. Milu! You know, these dogs in general, dogs love adventure, you know. If they are a group of dogs, they love adventure, you know. They say, oh, dogs are fascists. I always say dogs are fascists. They love to hanging around with large number of other dogs and make some war. Dogs loves war. Anyway, attractive partners could be honey traps aiming to lure youngsters into spying. The Minister of State Security has warned. China's Ministry of State Security, MSS, the country's main agency responsible for foreign intelligence and counter-espionage, has issued a warning to young people that, quote, handsome boys and pretty girls they meet could be honey traps aiming to lure them into spying for foreign countries. Definitely. The agency published the warning on its official WeChat account on Wednesday and addressed it to young students, in particular those with access to highly sensitive or confidential information or classified research data. The ministry warned them to not be seduced by good looks. which could be a trap set by, quote, overseas spy intelligence agencies. It claimed that such entities often target young Chinese students, quote, disguising themselves as close friends and confidants to try to win over, lure, and coerce them into a false love trap. The ministry also claimed some foreign intelligence agency, quote, provide high-paying part-time jobs for students, often using vague language to fish for information in the name of market research or academic exchanges. In these cases, the agents are usually disguised as academics, researchers, or consultants. The ministry warned who exploit the curiosity and willingness of young people to try new things. The ministry did not provide specific names or foreign agencies who have targeted students in the manner mentioned above, but China is known to exchange accusations of espionage with the US and the UK. The ministry's latest warning comes on the heel of a scandal in New York, where Governor Kathy Hochul's former deputy chief of staff, Linda Sun, has been charged with acting as an undisclosed agent for the Chinese government. In June this year, Beijing announced it had arrested 2 of its own nationals of suspicion of aiding British Foreign Intelligence Agency MI6. The agency's account went live in August last year following the expansion of China's counter-espionage law. It gave the country's authorities broader powers to root out spies. The ministry has since published many warnings similar to the one of Wednesday, aiming to popularize counterintelligence measures among the Chinese public. And that's it. There's a lot of news from Russia today, but now this is a changing. I don't remember how to say changing roles, I guess. Reading Chinese news on Russia, and now I'm going to read Russian news into China. Russia. I'm researching Russia on Cgtn. Russia advances in eastern Ukraine. Politics, September 8, 2024. Russia advances in eastern Ukraine, takes control of town. We have a photo we cannot see by this time. Artillerymen fire a howitzer towards Russian troops amid Russia's attack on Ukraine near Pokrovsk, Donetsk region. Russia said on Sunday its forces had taken control of a town in eastern Ukraine as it seeks to prize the Ukrainian defensive front lines. Novorodivka is an important rail and road hub for Ukrainian forces in the area, with a population of 14,000 before Russia's military campaign. Russian forces, which have controlled about a fifth of Ukraine since February 2022, are advancing in eastern Ukraine in an attempt to take the whole of the Donbass. Russia currently controls about 80% of the region. We have a subtitle: Overnight attacks. Ukraine and Russia accuse each other of overnight air attacks on their border regions, on their border regions, with Ukrainian officials saying that 2 people died and 4 were injured in the Sumy region, and Russia saying 3 civilians are injured in Belgorod. We have a photograph. A firefighter works at a site of residential building damaged by a Russian airstrike in Sumy. This photograph is from the State Emergency Service of Ukraine. 2 children were among those injured in Sumy, the region's official reported, along with several residential houses and cars damaged. Across the border in Russia's southwestern region of Belgorod, 3 civilians, including 2 children, were injured in Ukraine's air attack, according to the governor of the region. Vyacheslav Gladkov said 2 residential buildings were destroyed and more than 15 buildings in total were damaged. Another subtitle: Kursk operation continues. In a boost to Moscow, President Vladimir Putin said last week that a Ukrainian incursion into the Russian region of Kursk had failed to slow Russia's own advance in eastern Ukraine and had weakened Kiev's defenses along the front line. Its forces are currently working to advance on the strategically important city of Pokrovsk in the Donetsk. Ukraine's top military commander, however, said that Kiev's incursion into the Kursk region was working and that there had been no recent Russian advances on Pokrovsk. He said that one of the objectives in the Kursk incursion was to divert Russian forces from other areas, primarily Pokrovsk and Kurakov. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said the Kursk operation was also to prevent Russian forces from crossing the border in the opposite direction. And well, I just changed the roles. Tommy is well, that's it. And then I'm going to read some from Hainan during the day, like this one. China, September 8, 2024. Public utilities being restored in China's Hainan after super typhoon Yaji. Go Hainan! My dream is go to Hainan, you know. That's what I want to do. But by this time I'm going to do my yoga. Someday I will do my yoga in Hainan, and that will be just fine. As usual, I'm searching for Daniel Hadwe. Daniel Hadwe say nothing on his in his own platform yet, but luckily we will have Daniel Hadwe at this very Wednesday. This very Wednesday alive, talking about being in prison. I was detained one day. I was detained one day by being on an Okupa, a punk Okupa, 20 years ago. It sucks, you know. Being in prison sucks. It's the worst thing. Not having freedom, you know. It's shocking. It's shocking because you lost your freedom, and people in jail, they don't care about nobody. It is all day long for them, you know. Jail sucks. And in Denmark, if you escape jail, you can do it, you know, because everybody knows that jail sucks. By this time we are just listening the case, you know, in the media.
Ahora se dirigió directamente desde ese anexo penitenciario hasta este punto, y acá se va a mantener entonces mientras continúa el plazo de investigación por el caso Farmacias Populares. Ya lo adelantaba también su abogado Juan Carlos Manríquez durante esta jornada, y de alguna manera agradeciendo el hecho de que la magistrada diera cuenta de la falta de un nexo del exalcalde de Recoleta con el delito de estafa. Hay que entender que acá se configura más de un delito a nivel económico y que siguen siendo investigados, pero más allá de todo eso, superada esa etapa a juicio del abogado Manríquez, ya esto le permite, y es parte de lo que escuchábamos también por parte de la jueza, cambiar un poco las circunstancias, que era algo que no había ocurrido anteriormente. Hay que recordar que esta no es primera vez que se realizan las revisiones de las cautelares para el exalcalde de Recoleta, resultando en esas últimas ocasiones de manera negativa. Él se mantuvo, hay que recordar, por 90 días al interior de este anexo penitenciario. Por eso mismo también es que él dejó de ser alcalde de Recoleta mientras se mantenía al interior de ese centro penal. Y claro, acá cuando llega hasta este punto, que era algo que se esperaba ocurriera, teniendo en cuenta que este era el domicilio que tenía registrado y que registró precisamente con la magistrada, lo más probable era que llegara precisamente hasta este punto. Y acá podríamos decir, Tite, comienza lo que podríamos denominar en la jerga periodística y más coloquial como un plantón, entendiendo que acá lo que más interés mediático podría atraer son las visitas que van a llegar probablemente hasta este punto. Una de ellas eventualmente podría ser el timonel del Partido Comunista, Lautaro Carmona, quien ya había señalado que su interés era llegar precisamente hasta la casa de Daniel Jadwe para brindarle su apoyo y, por cierto, saludarlo. Nos vamos a quedar, como siempre, atentos, Titi, a todo lo que está ocurriendo acá en la comuna de La Reina.
Seba, no sé precisamente qué dice Daniel Jadwe cuando ingresa a su casa. No sé si en dirección podemos ponerlo y reproducir el ambiente. ¿Lo tenemos?
Pongámoslo.
A ver, veamos.
Felices.
Chao.
Y molesto por todo el maltrato.
No, está todo bien. Chao.
Ya, ahí está, molesto por el maltrato de los medios, cuando ahí su pareja le dice ya, vamos, como advirtiéndole que no es muy conveniente escalar a lo mejor en ese tipo de declaraciones, pero lo cierto es que Daniel Jadwe ya está en su domicilio con...
Yes, Chilean journalism, there's zero journalism in Chile, zero. Just, well, maybe La Voz de los que Sobran, yeah. I know, you know, there's a huge problem on Chilean human science, or yeah, Chileans humanities, you know. Huge problem. These people are here, they don't know nothing but neoliberalism. A huge problem, you know. They just lost the battle, maybe the war, you know. They are just bad people. They are not bad because they are sold out, but they are bad. They are deeply the bad is deeply rooted on them.